make another signing this time. Mikel Merino was the latest on him. It looks very likely it could be our second signing. So Team News and Ticks reported this earlier today. Arsenal are closing in on a deal for Mikel Merino. Now, for him, Arsenal is not the only team that wants Merino. Atletico Madrid also want him. For me, 2 weeks ago, I was saying I expect him to go to Atletico Madrid. As I always say again, those Spanish players, they would prefer, to go to a bigger team in Spain and stay in Spain. But Cozy did make a very good point when he talked about Merino a couple of days ago. Maybe he wants to come and win the Premier League. Maybe he wants to battle for the big competitions for the next 2-3 years. He's already 28 years of age, so he doesn't have a lot of time. He has already won the Euros over the summer for sure, and now maybe he's more hungry for more trophies, and maybe he feels yes, Atletico Madrid can compete for a couple of trophies. They can compete for the Copa del Rey. Actually, they've gotten to more Champions League finals than us over the last 10-20 years for sure. So, yes, Atletico Madrid can still win trophies. But as of now, which team is high and which team's project is heading up, it is us. So it would feel like, listen, let me go to the Premier League. Let me try and win the Premier League. Maybe I didn't have a good time at Newcastle. Let me go and make that correct over at Arsenal. Let me go and compete, help them, maybe the Champions League, maybe the FA Cup, maybe the Carabao Cup. All that, I think it would be a great signing. And the fact that he's 28 years of age, he doesn't have too much time. Now, for him, he's buying on his prime. So we're signing a player who's right on his prime. And he'd want to join Arsenal for sure. We've had that chance to talk to him directly. A Spanish player, we have a lot of Spanish connections, starting from the goalkeeper to the goalkeeping coach to Mikel Arteta and a lot of others in the team. So he would be interested to join Arsenal. But I did hear earlier today that Atletico Madrid are preparing an offer or something like that. But let's see. He doesn't have to accept it. Again, as we've always known, the moment you talk to a player, whichever team talks to the player as well, if Arteta has already convinced the player to join Arsenal, it doesn't matter what Atletico Madrid will tell him, unless will Atletico Madrid pay more money than us in terms of wages? I don't know. I don't think Atletico Madrid are one of those teams like PSG and Chelsea who would pay 200,000 for a player and then we can only afford 100,000. I don't think so. And these days, in terms of wages anyway, Arsenal is good in terms of wages these days. We've been able to save a lot of money when it comes to wages. I did hear out of the top 6 teams, I think we are 6th in terms of paying wages over the last 6-7 years. So we don't pay players too much money, but recently we've been able to do that because I think we've saved money in terms of that. And also we are back in the Champions League, so we can afford these wages. We can afford to pay Havertz 200,000 plus, a lot more other players. I think Saka 190 or something like that. We're going to give him a new contract, going to give Odegaard a new contract. Rice is on 200,000 plus as well. And the fact that we are selling the likes of Smith Rowe, next year we're not going to have players like Partey, who's also like on 180,000 per week. We are going to save some money there, and then you're going to get younger players, and then you're going to keep on going. And if we keep on doing well in the Champions League and hopefully win all of those trophies next season, we're going to keep on, boosting the team. And this is definitely an Arteta player for sure. The fact that he's very good at duels in midfield and his technical wise is great. He can play as a number 6, he can play as a number 8. Whenever you hear all that, you're sure that Arteta will definitely try to fight for him. Some players, maybe you can go for them, and another team comes in for them. Maybe Arsenal will be like, nah. 2 years ago, I think we were told that Arsenal were going for a player, I think from the Serie A, and then basically they didn't really feel like he was great enough in the last minute to come and join us. Arteta wasn't 100% sure about him, and then we decided no. But this particular player, Arteta really likes him, and you can see why, and it for sure be able to convince him to join as well. So let's see how that one goes as well. It's going to cost us 30 million euros. In fact, this was reported by Mundo Deportivo 2 days ago. Arsenal have already sent their proposal to Mikel Merino and are now preparing an offer to Real Sociedad for the player. Although Merino is getting closer and closer to Arsenal, the agreement between the two clubs is still missing. Now, obviously, you can't make a bid or activate a release clause before you talk to the player. You can't just go and pay money if the player doesn't want to join you. So you have to talk to the player first. Does he want to join you? If he says yes, then you go to the next thing. This is how much money you're going to pay you per week. Okay, I'm happy with that. This is the role you're going to play in our team. Are you happy with the project? I think the money thing at Edu and Etta probably bring it up last, because you don't bring players because of the money. They tell him everything else. This is the role. You're the last piece. I think we tell every player that you're the final piece for us to win the Premier League. And then it's like, okay, you're in your prime, 28. You're going to do this. You're going to play next to Rice. You're going to play next to your former teammate Odegaard. This is what we need you to do. And then bonuses, this and that. And then you talk to the agent, and they're like, listen, yep. we are happy to join Arsenal. Whichever team that comes in for him, I'm going to join Arsenal. And then after that, you pick up the phone and you contact Real Sociedad and you tell them, listen, your player wants to join us. He's happy to join us. What can we do? How much money do you want? How can you do the negotiations? And then if they're happy to sell, then you start the negotiations with the team. And whenever a player wants to join you, it helps. Because if Calafiori had come back after his holiday and said, you know what, I don't really have to go to Arsenal, I can stay, then Bologna would have been like, if you want him, you have to pay 70, 80 million. But Calafiori came back to Bologna and said, I want to join Arsenal. Please let me go fulfill my dream. I want to go. And Bologna like, yeah, let's just let him go. Arsenal, do you have that 45 million you're talking about? Yes, we still have it. Here, you can have the player, but you can let us talk to Basel and Roma first, whatever. Then yes. So if Merino tells his team, I want to move on, I want to go to back to the Premier League, I want to go and fulfill my dream at Arsenal, then Bilbao will be like, okay, not Bilbao. Sociedad will be like, yeah, we are going to sell him. This is how much money we want. And Atletico Madrid will be like, okay, he wants to join Arsenal. Let's forget about this and let's go for another midfielder. So the Merino one, as Timnies and Tix have said, it is edging closer. Deal is close. So let's see. I think the player is still on holiday. The Spanish and English players are still on their holiday. So it will take another week for sure to finalize the deals and stuff. But the Premier League is still like 3 weeks away. So you can still get all these players before the Premier League starts. But in terms of the USA tour, they're going to miss all of these games. But if you don't get Merino, are we going to go for Fabian Ruiz or are we going to go for both of them? I doubt you're going to get both of them, but it has been reported by Duncan Castles that Arsenal have initiated discussions with PSG for Fabian Ruiz. The discussions are dependent, I am told, on Arsenal moving a player out in midfield. It's likely if they are to come to an agreement, it will be structured as a loan with an obligation to buy. So again, kind of the same situation, but different here. The team, PSG, they don't really see Fabian Ruiz as an important player in their team. Fabian Ruiz used to play for Napoli as well, I think from 2018 to 2022, and then he joined PSG. He hasn't really hit the ground running there, but he's a very important player for Spain. The way he was getting in the box from the first game when they were playing against, I think, Croatia, he was really good at the Euros. He scored a couple of goals. He was really good for them, and he was getting involved in every single play. And he's one of the players that are coming off, him and Olmo, for Merino to come in. So Merino is a bench player at Spain, and these guys are starters. So I don't think you're going to get both. Fabian Ruiz is more of a number 8 and more of a number 10. If he doesn't play as a number 8, he's going to play as the Odegaard position. So Odegaard is definite starter for Arsenal. He's not going to be on the bench. And Declan Rice is definitely not going to be on the bench unless he plays as a number 6. So Fabian Ruiz could be the one to play next to Odegaard if you're going with 2 number 10s in a particular game. He would be another great signing. And PSG are willing to sell him. So that's the other good thing. If the player is willing to go, fine. If the team is willing to sell the player, fine. But it will be an obligation to buy because we've done a lot of that with our own players. If Nelson leaves, it's going to be an obligation with an option, with an obligation to buy, loan, with the obligation to buy next season. We've done that with Tavares. We could end up doing that with a couple of other players. So for us as well, if we already pay, let's say for Gyökeres and Calafiori and a couple of other players, and you don't really have the money for Fabian Ruiz, we can tell them, listen, you don't have the money now, but you can pay you next season. Next season you have some cash coming in for Tavares and for Lokong and for all these players you're going to pay you next season. Maybe PSG, if they're desperate to get rid of him, they can accept that, and then we can just get him on loan and then buy him next season, like we did with David Raya. We did exactly the same. We got him on loan, and then we bought him later on. This season, there was a lot of PSI issues, so I think many of the teams are understanding in terms of loans and obligation to buy, and it helps you. If you don't want to pay the wages that season, if they give him to us on loan, they're not going to be paying his